massive weekend of two-step finals coming up across Divisions 3 and 4. Grand final day and, of course, the penultimate finals round in Division 1. One man is all over it is Peter Frosty Baird, and he joins me for the EFL TV Agenda. Frosty, before we get stuck into Divisions 3, 4 and 1, we have to pay tribute to Montrose. A great effort on the weekend in winning the Division 2 premiership to see them go up to Division 1 next year.
The Demons were absolutely fantastic on Saturday. They did what they needed to do. They now get the opportunity to strut their stuff with the big boys in Division 1 next year, Ben.
Well, let's go to Division 1. We'll get into the grand finals a little bit later, but let's go to Division 1. And two games obviously played on the weekend. The first one was Baldwin and Vermont, and Baldwin, of course, going straight through to the Choose Tap grand final with a victory, a pretty convincing victory in the end over Vermont to go straight through to the grand final. And Baldwin just flexed their muscle and picking up where they left off at the end of the home and away season.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do, Ben. They probably weren't super impressive in going out there and blowing the Eagles away, but they got the job done. Daniel Donati would have been very satisfied with that. They now get the week off. They get a chance to rest up. Completely different scenario for the Tigers this year. Last year they played 4 finals in a row. This year they're only going to have to play the 2. So a bit of a different preparation, but they're primed and ready to go in a fortnight's time for that grand final. They get to sit back now and wait for the winner of Vermont and Noble Park.
Well, that brings us to yesterday's game. Well, not yesterday's game, on Sunday's game between Noble Park and Norwood. And Noble Park were out there for EFL game day, and Noble Park, in the end, were able to get over the line. They were challenged by Norwood, particularly in that third term, but Noble Park just a little bit too much class as well. Can they do it against Vermont this weekend? They've struggled to beat the Eagles the past couple of years, in fact. Can they do it against Vermont?
I think they can. I'm going to stick with them. I've liked Noble Park all year. The key for Noble Park is they have to be able to dictate terms. When the game's played on their terms, they look so good. We saw it even on Sunday afternoon. When Norwood got on top and were able to dictate terms, Norwood were able to get the ascendancy and control the game. Noble Park, their workmanlike effort, they got on top. They started to control the tempo of the game, and that's when they really started to run over the top of Norwood and eventually came away with the win.
Noble Park by how many?
Noble Park by 12 points.
I'm going for Noble Park as well. I reckon they'll play Baldwin in the grand final.
I even know that. I know talking to a couple of the Noble Park guys after the game, they want to crack at Baldwin this year. They said Vermont have had a couple of goes at them over the past couple of years. Now's their opportunity to prove that they're the team that can take it right up to the Tigers.
Let's have a look at the Division 4 grand final this Saturday afternoon, Frosty. It will be out at Walker Park, the MCG of the EFL. It'll be at 2:30 p.m. It'll be South Belgrave taking on Forest Hill. First versus fourth, if you have a look at these ladder positions at the end of the home and away season. Let's have a look at some of the key matchups. Let's have a look at the X factors, I suppose, for both sides. On one side, we've got our man, Michael Cardamone from Forest Hill. Then you've got our favourite three amigos from South Belgrave, Odermatt, Bacons and Appleby.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have got forwards that can kick bags of goals. I just think South Belgrave, they've got the 3 of them down there. We've termed them the 3 amigos. But Lee Odermatt, he's a fantastic recruit for them this year. Lucas Appleby, he's been great. He's kicked tons of goals over the past few years. Not so many this year. And Alex Bacon's probably taken over the mantle as the premier key forward now for South Belgrave. Yep. So, I mean, if Cardamone can kick 5 or 6, is probably what he needs to do to keep Forest Hill in the game. I reckon Forest Hill would be happy, though, if they can restrict the 3 amigos to 8 or 9 between them.
Well, both teams have some great versatility amongst their team as well, and we've singled out one player from the Zebras and one from the Saints. From the Saints, Dustin Apps, who's been around for a long, long time, almost as long as his hair. And then we've got Nathan Jameau as well, who has turned into one of the fairy tale stories for Forest Hill this season. Does it up forward, but is just as damaging on the wing.
That's right. He'll probably start on the wing on the weekend. He's a big boy. He's got that height about him as well. Can drift forward, can play in that forward role, but he's also great through the midfield. But you can't underestimate the importance of Dustin Apps to that South Belgrave side. He can play in a key position at centre half back. He can play in the ruck for them. He can go forward to create that 4th tall option to expose the opposition's shortness in defence. He's probably one of the most important players for the Saints on the weekend.
And 2 more important players, and this will be an interesting matchup in the midfield, is Alex Benbow, arguably one of the most improved players in Division 4. He might be going up against Ryan Clark. Now, Clark didn't play last weekend, but we're pretty confident that he'll line up for the Zebras this weekend.
Well, both of them are probably the premier midfielders in both teams. Ryan Clark is the captain of the Forest Hill team. He's missed a few weeks with injury. He'll be back in the side this Saturday. But Alex Benbow, I mean, he's been a revelation this year for South Belgrave, a former Morrish medalist, so he has played at a higher level and is very well acquitted with great credentials. So, I mean, whoever can control that midfield is going to go a long way to see their team control the game and come away with the premiership flag. flag.
Well, South Belgrave have been the best team all season, Frosty Baird. They're undefeated. The last time they lost was actually 12 months ago when they went down to the base, and they haven't dropped a game since then. I don't think they'll drop a game this weekend. Despite Forest Hill, they're the fairy tale story, a great effort to get over Ferntree Gully last weekend and get in there. It's really hard to see South Belgrave letting this one slip.
Yeah, I don't reckon the fairy tale could extend another week. We saw Baldwin go all the way through last year in Division 1 and claim the flag from 4th position. That's what Forest Hill are trying to do. Unfortunately, they're going to run into a team that are just a little bit above them in class. South Belgrave, I reckon the Saints by 80 points on the weekend. I reckon they're going to do it quite comfortably. It won't be all doom and gloom for Forest Hill, though. I reckon they can turn the tables on South Belgrave in the reserves and claim the reserves flag.
Forest Hill, the Division 4 reserve specialists for a number of years now. And of course, the mighty Division 3 Choose Tap Grand Final will occur this Sunday afternoon at East Burwood Reserve, 2:30 p.m. We'll see Wantirna South hosting the Doncaster Sharks. The top two teams on the ladder at the end of the home and away season going at it, but it didn't sort of pan out like that. Wantirna South, the second place team, have earned the week off, and Doncaster have had to do it the hard way. Let's have a look at each end, I suppose you could say, up in the Wantirna South forward line. Daniel Bedome will be going up, we think, against Ben McGarnis. Bedome had an outstanding season. He's kicked more goals than, well, compared to some of his other years as well. He's in great goal-kicking form, whereas McGarnis, well, he's just ever reliable back there.
Yeah, both these two, they're very experienced, over 200 games each for their respective clubs. They're the heart and soul of the footy clubs. And, I mean, this contest could decide a long way as to who gets the ascendancy. Bedome probably needs to kick 4, maybe 5 goals for Wantirna South to really get over the line. Ben McGarnis is a fantastic backman, plays really tight, loves to come over the top and spoil. If he can control Bedome's influence, well, the Sharks are halfway there, I reckon.
Let's go to the other end of the field, and Nathan Thompson in fantastic goal-kicking form. Booted 6 last week, and 4 of them were in the final quarter against Mitcham. He did something similar in round 18 against Mitcham, so he's a bit of a fourth quarter specialist, is Big Tomo, but he's got a big job to try and shut Jackson Freeman out of the game as well, because young Jacko did a magnificent job a couple of weeks ago, and he'll be pretty confident heading into this game, I reckon.
Yeah, young Jackson, he's one of our EFL media team favourites. He did a fantastic job on Nathan Thompson when the two teams met a fortnight ago, as you said. He's able to run off Nathan Thompson, exploit him for a little bit of a lack of pace at times as well. Where he needs to be careful is Thompson's so strong, he can get muscled out of contests. I think Freeman will try and play off him a little bit, come over the top, punch from behind. If he can control and negate Nathan Thompson in this game, I reckon that'll see Wantirna South over the line. I reckon that's the most important matchup on the field on Saturday afternoon, and if he can do that, he may well walk away with the Blue Ribbon medal as well. That's how important this contest is to the context of the game.
Might be a tear in Mark Freeman's eye if that does happen towards the end of the game. Just one more matchup we want to have a look at, though, is, well, not a matchup, but the two X factors for both sides, and they're both fantastic players to watch. They're worth certainly your admission fee. Chris Anarkis from Doncaster, we like to mention him lots, and I know he enjoys his name being mentioned. And Braden Harkness, one of our favourites, a beautiful left foot kick off that half-back line. They'll be vital for both teams.
Oh, absolutely, and these are the two that I reckon the opposition coaches will be putting a lot of work into controlling their influence on the game. Chris Anarkis, he just racks up possessions going through the middle of the ground. He's so damaging with the way he uses the ball. So Wantirna South and Matt Clark, they'll be watching everything he does and trying to limit his influence. But Braden Harkness, he's sort of come of age this year as a footballer. Runs and breaks the lines from half-back, that damaging left foot, as we said. So Andrew Tranquilli, he'll have his work cut out. He'll have a plan up his sleeves to try and quell Braden's influence, no doubt.
Well, it's time to put our reputations on the line, Peter Baird, and look, Division 3 has been one of the best divisions to watch this year, if not the best, because it has been so close, and we've never known which way it's going to turn, and it's been like that right throughout the Choose Tap final series. It'll be a close grand final. I don't think we've got any doubts about that, but how do you see this one playing out?
I reckon Wantirna South, the week off is critical for the Devils. Doncaster, they've had to do it the hard way. They've had to go back and play Mitcham last week after going down to Wantirna South. So I reckon Wantirna South can get the job done. I reckon their run and spread, their pace will hurt Doncaster, particularly through the middle of the ground. The Devils by 11 points and move back up to Division 2.
Yeah, I think I'm going for the Devils as well. They've obviously matched up pretty well against Doncaster so far this season. The week off certainly helps. Those young players, I think, will make a big difference. We mentioned Jackson Freeman, but Taylor Leggett had an outstanding year as well. Braden Harkness and the like. Wantirna South for mine as well, Frosty.
Yeah, and don't forget, they've got a lot of experience in there as well, with Jamison and Hutchison coming back into the team this year as well. So they're ready to go. They've got that beautiful blend of experience and youth. Time's right now for the Devils.
There you have it, Frosty. The agenda done and dusted for another week. Our second last show, can you believe it? It really has gone very, very quickly. But we're certainly looking forward to this weekend. And both of the grand finals this weekend will be, of course, broadcast on EFL Game Day. On Saturday, the Division 4 grand final between Forest Hill and South Belgrave, live from Walker Park on 98.1 FM. And on Sunday, Doncaster and Montana South in the Division 3 Choose Tap grand final, also from 2:30 p.m. Sure to be two cracking games, Frosty, and you'll be all over it, of course.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to get out there. Two fantastic games of footy. We'll have two more premiers crowned come 5 p.m. Saturday and 5 p.m. Sunday.
And, of course, don't forget the Division 1 preliminary final on Saturday at Bayswater Oval if Division 1 takes your fancy. Frosty, thanks for your work. Contain that excitement, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Just one more episode of EFL TV to go.
I can see the tears almost flowing from your eyes. We'll see you next week.